Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
We're back at you and Gloves Off. I'm Professor Buitrón. I'm here with Grandmaster Blanton, and we're touching base on martial arts and bullying and all that stuff that comes around teaching others. Good morning, Grandmaster. You doing good? How's Florida?
I'm doing good. Good. You?
Good. Just, staying behind the pandemic, trying to stay safe.
Amen. Yes.
Because it's something that's hit everybody hard, and especially martial arts schools. I have a lot of friends that have lost their schools last year. They're not coming back. It's hard time.
I had to. It's sad. It really is.
Well, let's touch base. How did you get involved with martial arts, and how did you take off with it?
I got involved because I was being bullied out of my speech. I was born with a flat palate and lip. Automatically, you got a black mark to hit you right there because you're different. I was bullied horribly, and I had a friend of mine. It was back in 1969. He said, "Look, I'm taking martial arts. You need to get in a martial arts land." And I was 10 years old then. I said, "Well, I watched Bruce Lee on TV, and I'm going to be like Bruce Lee, He can handle these bullies." And I was not only mentally abused, I was physically abused every day of my life. Not just one time, every day. So he said, "Look, get in a martial arts class. It will help you overcome it." Well, I talked to my mom and dad, and he talked to them. Or my mom and dad didn't have a lot of money. We, at that time, we had moved from Alabama, where I was born, to Indiana, and then we didn't got the money. We got the 1R. Your mom is you, and I had it to go to work. We don't have the money to pay the guy, to train you. And my friend said, "Look, Mr. Blanton, if you don't mind, I'll do it. I'll step in and I'll train him what I know and help him along. That's all right with my instructor." When we met, he said, "Yeah, he's fine. You just keep promoting." And the rest is history. I took off from there until 1974 when I actually got enrolled in a real, martial arts setting, school. Rest is history. And then it ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you, well, I was bullied and beat up. We had just moved back to Laredo, Texas, and went out, played in the playground. I beat up by a bunch of kids, and
Yep.
the next day I see my father take me to my uncle, and that's how I started, and ever since then it's history. And that about bullying is the number one reason many kids and adults join martial arts schools. And within martial arts schools, we have to be very, very careful because some kids can join and actually become bullies.
Yep. Amen. That's right.
And and people say, "No, that doesn't happen." I go, "It happens."
Well, yeah, I've seen it.
And so as a teacher, you have to balance everything together for if you do get those students that can become bullies, for you to be able to balance them back in line, and those that were bullied, pick them up, and kind of balance and everything.
Yep.
How do you do that when you start seeing that in the students?
Well, what I do is I have a training program, and I let them know right up front what bullying is. Now, Master Reed, he always told us, just because you wear that black belt, martial arts, he would say, don't get big head, swell head, go out here and pick on somebody just to them up to prove what you know. And that's not with me a long time. And that's what I would tell my students. I said, look, just all you know something more than somebody else. Don't go out here and pick on somebody to make you look real big on the playground, you know. You know how macho. And that's not what martial arts is about. We're supposed to help those people that's being bullied. You don't have to help them physically. You can step in, take them out of the situation. And that's what I told my students. If I catch any of y'all bullying anybody, you'll be thrown out of this class. Because I will not put up with bullies in my class. We're here as a family. You're not better than me, I'm not better than you. There's always someone better than I am. And that's the way I look at it. No matter what rate you have, it don't matter. I hear these people, I'm Grandmaster so-and-so. Well, I honor you. But don't come in here and try to show up the class, which I've had them do. I used to come in my class. I had an MMA guy come in, and he picked on my yellow belt. He's a black belt in MMA. I said, look, I don't do that for my class. We're here to learn. You want to come in and train with me, fine. You honor me, I honor you. But when you start picking on a yellow belt and getting them down there, straightening their arm back, and they're yelling and screaming, what is he bruised? He said, well, you gotta be tough. I said, well, being tough is one thing, but you gotta understand, you're supposed to be the instructor. You're supposed to be the trainer. You're supposed to set the example for the rest of these people around here. You know, when you're sitting here being a bully to him and trying to break his arm off, and it was an older gentleman, he was an adult, and he was acting and he was yelling, screaming, and let go of him, you know. It didn't me that way. Well, I got down there and I wanted to get me that arm straight and everything. Well, I done a nerve pop on him. I did a street fight like deal. And he jumped up off the ground. You can't do that. That's against the rules. I said, look, we're in a street fight. There is no rules. You're going to be bitten, stabbed, punched, everything. I said, when you do that to him, that's what he feels like. Because he don't know what to do. He's yelling at him. I said, you're going to run up against the wrong people. Or this guy come up and he's cheating. He's stabbed me with a nerve whenever you've done to my leg. And that's right. And I will continue to do that. Because you're not going to come in my class and show these yellow belts and all these other people how big and bad you are. And believe it or not, he got up, he apologized to me, walked down the class, and never come back. Then one day, I think a guy, it was him, he had a whole bag of fighting equipment, all kind of stuff that we needed for our school, community center. And I'm going to apologize to you again, and I'm going to donate this to your class. I am sorry, you learned me something. And I never heard from him again.
Yeah, stories like that happen.
Yep.
You taught him a lesson, and that's the way it should be done, and it goes forward. But I'm also interested about the fact that you've written some books about bullying, correct?
Yes, sir. I wrote one book, Prevailing Against Bullying, my life story, where I tell how I was born with my cleft palate, all I had to go through, the doctor's experiments, trying to correct my speech. Now remember, this is back in the early 1960s. They didn't have technology they got now. See? They told my dad to set me up on the table, and they went to get it. I was about 6 years old, 7 years old. I'm sitting on the table for these doctors. They told my dad, well, we can't operate on him. And dad said, what? He said, no, the way his palate is, we had no technology how to close it. We're going to experiment on him. They made a little speech plate looking thing. I called it a turtle. And then on the back of it, it had what they call a uvula. Now what that is that thing hangs down in the back of your throat. If you look in the mirror, you can see it like a little turtle. Well, they made this thing. And I had to wear this sucker for a year and a half, I think. And I had to go through all the dental surgeries. They had to remove it in the back, it in the front, make it when they had hooks on them, so this thing is hooked up in there when they push it up in your palate. Oh, that's in the book, man. It's horrible. The thing is, it didn't work. They're all in 4 hours a piece, sitting in the ear, but in 4 hours, I had to go back. And they had to let it heal, not every 8 weeks. I had to go back. And they did the thing, surgeon, put the tooth in, all that stuff, right? They put this thing in here. I had speech therapy. I had to go to speech therapy. I didn't have reflex. I couldn't go out and play with the rest of them. I had to go to speech therapy. Learning how to pronounce my words. And the woman at the speech therapy told me, this ain't working. There's no difference in your speech. And then, you know, the hardest part is the physical damage that all put it in. These wires were razor sharp, and they would cut my lip all in pieces. I had blood coming out. And my mother put it in for me. Then I had to learn to put it in. All right? The kids didn't know I had it. They own the principal own the teacher, and look, don't let the kids know he's wearing this. I mean, I wouldn't make fun of any words, you know. So I had to wear this thing. And the worst part of it was putting it in. And if you ever noticed, or you probably don't know, and ears with flat palates and lips, they get a lot of infection. Ear infection, throat infection. I lived with it when I was growing up. It would run down the back of your throat and hang on that little old uvula thing. And clog up. And when it did, you couldn't choke. You would have to run in the bathroom, take this thing out, wash it off, clear it all out, put it back up in your mouth again. And here again, what happens? You're all the pieces. You have blood on your shirt stuff. And the ear started asking, why are you always coming back bloody? Are you fighting? I said, no, I bit my lip. I make up an excuse. You know. So I said, look, I'm gonna write a book. I'm not a writer. It was about 8 years ago. I said, look, I'm a wife. I said, look, I'm gonna write a book. Tell my story. Because I've heard these heartbreaking bullying stories. I'm gonna tell my story. So I wrote it from the very beginning. When I was born, I went through everything. Held nothing out. Up to adulthood. I was even born as an adult. You believe that? An adult, and I already had a black belt. I didn't let them know. I didn't do anything to them. I walked away from it. Well, it's not 3 times I couldn't. But the first time was a supervisor. I worked in a factory. He was and they were retarded. To this very day, believe it or not, I get people contacting me. How can you be a martial artist? You're retarded. I said, how can I be retarded? When I look at you, you don't look normal. You got a speech problem. It don't affect my mind. You know, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, and I wouldn't put here. And then I'm up, well, you know, these are martial artists. I won't name who they are. I got more respect. But they would question me about my race. They would say, well, Henry probably felt sorry for you. And he just gives you a belt just to make you feel good. People like you, they gotta get pats on the back to feel like they fit in. These are martial artists now. I said, excuse me, Matt Reed didn't give you nothing. You had to work and train and work hard to get your rate. He didn't give rate. You couldn't buy rate. I earned it.
Absolutely.
And that's what you had to put up with.
You know, and that's, you know, my brother, I want to look at it this way. You know, there's a lot of martial arts out there, and there's a lot of martial artists out there as well that they live upon the negative. Why? Because they don't understand what they've done with their own accomplishments, and they're afraid of that. And instead of that, they start blaming others for their failures as people.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it happens. And I tell people this: bullying's going to be with you for the rest of your life. Either you have to know how to put a stop to it right away.
Yep.
Okay, and if you don't do that, if you're that I tell the parents that come in, if your kid's not being bullied right now or getting into a fight in grade school, he might in junior high.
Yep.
And if he goes to junior high and nothing happens, he might in high school.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
he goes off to he doesn't happens in high school and he goes off to college. Something's going to happen somewhere on the way.
Yep. There it
You know,
is.
they're going to go out. They're going to go to a bar. You know, a nightclub. It happens.
Yep.
Or they're going to join the army. Let's go over here. It happens.
Yep.
Trouble's going to come. So you have to be prepared. You know, and unfortunately, we live in a society that the vast majority needs to put down the other half, and that's
Yep.
not what it's all about. You know,
Exactly right.
I tell people this: you look down at somebody when you're extending your hand to help them up.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's my motto at the school. If you're going to be looking down at somebody, you better be extending your hand to pick them back up off the ground.
Exactly. Man, I thought when I had my karate classes, my schools, I thought people in that nobody in the area would take in because they had a handicap. We had Down syndrome kids. We had hot rat disorder kids. We had autistic kids, autism. We even had an older man, Michael Hart. He just passed away last January. He was 74 years old. 74. He come in my life. My wife called me up here, this student. I went up there to greet him, and I looked around and what are you looking at? I looked through your grandkids. He's a frail, frail man. He's 74 years old. He said, I ain't got no grandkids. I said, well, is it your kids? He said, no, it's me. Oh, that's great. He said, you mean you're gonna let me do it? I said, why wouldn't I? He said, I've been to every school in your area. None of them would let me come in but you. I said, yes, sir. I don't believe in anybody being thrown out if you want to learn martial arts. And you know what? That 74-year-old man outlasted every adult I had in my class and got his black belt.
But
That's how much determined he was.
and you have our condolences for your loss, because that,
Oh, it really hurt me. I didn't know he passed away, but it hadn't hurt. I'm like, oh my God. I said, Robert, why don't you call him Pops? That wasn't his real name. It was Julius. Well, we called him Pops. I love that man to death, man. He'll do anything for you. Mama said, and you know answer. You got on the obituaries from last year. That's the last time it heard. He said, Dad, Bob died. And I ain't no way, man. There's no way. He said, yeah, he did. He died last January. Probably not that virus. Oh man, he was 86 years old when he passed away. And he was a hard worker. He fought through cancer. He was how dedicated was a student. He had prostate cancer when he was training. He went and had surgery. He come back in the next week just to sit down and watch the class. I said, Pops, you don't have to do that. You had surgery. He said, no. He called me son. No, son, I want to get my training in. Even though I'm not supposed to be training physically, I do it mentally. And all right, Bob, whatever you want to do, don't hurt you. And he's not there till he was able to physically get back into it.
That is awesome. That is
and
awesome.
You know why he joined the class? Why he joined the class? Where he lived, he was robbed by 9 points. They was robbing. He was elderly. Didn't know how to defend himself. He was thrown downstairs. He was beaten. And that's why he joined a martial arts class.
You see, your schools, yourself, your type of instructor is what propels martial arts forward. Okay? Because you're there, you're helping everybody in the community. And that's what a lot of people do not understand, that martial arts are icons of the community. Yep. And right now, a lot of these martial arts schools, they're no longer. So as a community, we should help them out. Why? Because they're the ones that give what? Um, they're the ones that give self-esteem, self-confidence, besides
Exactly.
self-defense. Okay, they teach people how to empower themselves and
Exactly.
become better citizens in society. And those schools are being left out and pushed away. And we saw a lot of injustices this past year with COVID. A lot of schools were not helped out. A lot of schools are no longer. And
No.
people do not want to take their kids, support those schools. Why? Because I guarantee you that the majority of little league kids pass through the martial arts schools and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of
Yeah.
the police officers that are in your town, they came out of those martial arts schools.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the firemen, they came out of those martial arts schools. So, you know, we have to support that. We have to support instructors like yourself that are positive role models for the community in general.
Exactly. We called the police department. I went down to the police department. You know, police don't really know how to do hand to hand. I'm not putting them down. We had them smart replies. We had some say, well, I don't need no hand to hand. I got my, actor's gun. I got that. And my son would come back at him. What happened to that gun jams? What happened if you can't get it out of your holster time? I never thought of that. Exactly. So I went down to the sheriff's department. Police wouldn't do it. And now we've dealt with it before and we don't want to get involved and you hurt our citizens. And I wouldn't hurt your officers. Well, we've had it before with somebody else and they hurt them and broke their arm. I went to the sheriff's department. I said, we're going to do this free. I ain't charged nothing. I'm doing it for community service. I was tired of seeing their policemen get beat up and with their own, take their guns away from them, getting shot their own guns, you know. And he said, well, it's fine with me. I said, good. We sent them down there and we trained them. You know, I had an auto accident. I had a bad wreck in 2006. I got rear-ended, 45 miles an hour, bam. And I couldn't do my license anymore. I had to basically close them up. My son was in college. He couldn't run back and forth and run them. We was in a small community center, and I just told him I can't do it anymore. The doctors won't let me. I got 3 herniated discs in my neck. I got 1 in my back and it's wrecked. If I make the wrong move, I could be paralyzed. And I didn't have the surgery. No, I'm not having no neck surgery. One of these discs is pushing on my spinal cord. And the doctor told me, I really don't want to go in there. We're in at it. I make the wrong move. The spinal cord severs. And then leave it like it is. Then. I ain't gonna mess with it. But he says your martial arts is over. I said, no, it's not over. I'm gonna change my system around a little bit and make it for people like myself that want to do it, but they can't out of a physical injury. And that's what I've done. Change it around. I use the walking stick for a weapon, which I never used before. And I trained the senior citizens how to use it. Remember, a senior citizen is the most vulnerable. They're going to attack a senior citizen. But I showed them how to use the walking stick. I said, we're going to use the cane, I'm going to show you how to do basic stuff that will help you from getting robbed. And then, well, how do you know how we use this? I said, I had to use it myself now, out of all my injuries I had. And that's what I done. I trained the senior citizens on how to do things. Only thing I do now, I do seminars and people have me. A lot of people I found, they don't want me in their seminars. And I didn't own this all. I don't think who said it. But they told me, well, people are not interested in bullying in the martial arts, and they're not really interested in you because your speech, they don't understand what you're saying. And that just takes up a seminar spot, and I give the so-and-so got a bigger name, and no, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I love you, brother, how it is. But I might give you 30 minutes, maybe to say something, and then forget it. I don't worry about it. You go and get your big name people, get them out there on the floor, because they understand me. And that's just the same way with interviews. Remember when you asked me, I told you up front, I got a speech problem. Because a lot of people contacting me, wanting to interview me, and as soon as they hear me, you know what? We can't do the interview today. Something's messed up on my computer. Never hear back from them.
You know, I let me put it to you this way. I understand you pretty darn well. Okay. So
You're
that's
one of you.
you know, and if people do not want to understand others, that's their problem, you know. So that's the way I look at it. I understand. I listen. I've learned a lot today with what you've been talking about, and it also shows the dedication to continue moving forward. That
Yeah, I
warrior,
have to.
and we all have to, and we all have to continue moving forward. And it's time, and time eventually will run out on all of us.
Yep.
But it's what we do with our time that's what matters.
And I want to make a difference. That's why I kind of 8 years ago when I wrote this book, I just wrote my new book recently. I got thick and tired everybody. Who you trained under? And then all my life. And then, look, I ain't a writer, but God's going to help me write this thing. I'm going to write the history of my training. And that's what I done in the second book. I wrote the history of all my training. So all these people have questions about me. They can read the book. And you still get people questions. Oh, they'll ask me, how long did you train under Tom Reed? Who else did you train under? Get the book. You're a fake and a fraud. Get the book. And they'll say, well, I understand now. You just want to sell a book. You ain't losing. You know, if you write a book and explain all the answers, they won't go.
You know, it's a shame, but you know, I was touching base with a lot of our contemporaries, and I told them, you know, martial arts are like those shyster pastors that run around and steal people's money. There's a lot more people out here in the martial arts that when you talk to them, they give you this flamboyant story, and they're dressed in these silk uniforms, and they couldn't fight the way out of a wet paper bag. And you look at them, and you talk to them, and they're afraid to go to across the corner street because there's a couple of guys out there, and you're like, well, what are you supposed to be teaching? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and I'm like, what are you here for?
Well, another thing that made me mad, I wrote this my bullying book. Everybody that read it told me this thing needs to be made into a documentary or a movie. You can really help other people. I said, well, how hard could it be? I know some martial arts buddies. I won't name who they are. But yeah, I got more respect than other people. They just start naming names. I don't. I unacted them because I knew they knew people that was in the movie business. I said, hey, can you help me out to get a movie made of this book or documentary that can help all these people that being bullied, being different, like little people, people that are crippled, maybe autistic people? This would give them hope. They said, well, really, your book is not that interesting to us. That's bullying. We need action. And, you know, all that stuff. I said, look, this is real life, true story. And they would not help me. Nobody would. I'm unacting about everybody. And I hit the same thing. It's just not interesting about your life being bullied. They don't get the whole key point to the whole thing. It's not about me. It's me helping other people overcome their disability. That's the main point. You're helping these people. I've had parents write me from all over the world. And oh man, we got your book. We cried, you know. I mean, it wasn't meant to be emotional. I just told my true story of what I went through, you know. I didn't mean it to be emotional. I just wrote it out of my heart. I'm not a writer. I'm a martial artist. But God led me and he helped me write that book. Because I remember things back when I was a kid. For instance, I'll give you an example. Sock monkey. You know what a little sock monkey is, right? I'm scared to death of them. You believe that? A grown man is done scared to death of a sock monkey. But you know why I'm scared of that sock monkey? Back when I was 7 years old, laying in that dental chair, doing that surgery on me, awake now. You know how I did it in 4 hours? They had a light that pulled down. Remember how they pulled the light down and looked in your mouth? What was on that light? A sock monkey. And I had to look at that monkey for 4 hours, and it reminds me of what they done to my teeth and what pain I went through. That's why I'm afraid of a sock monkey today.
Absolutely. Now, you're still teaching, changing the subject a little bit. You're still teaching the elderly right now?
No, I'm not able anymore. It's pandemic. It's pandemic. Everybody's got that virus. And besides that, where we live, they won't let me work with the elderly anymore. We live in a gated community, and they're kind of, and they're weird people. They don't believe in martial arts. They think martial arts is violence. They think martial arts is of the devil. So, and they wouldn't let me do it anymore. And I ain't doing it no more. It's violent. The older people don't get hurt. And they're not getting hurt. I'm learning how to use their walk. Nah, we're not doing that.
Well,
I just hope I get seminars, you know. That's all I hope for. And I can spread the word.
You know, maybe you can do a Zoom class from people and get people involved that way, and maybe you can propel it that way in your community. Those people that are involved in it, put it on Facebook in your town. I'm going to give a free workshop on how to use a walking cane. Anybody wants to learn it? Maybe that's a good way to promote it.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
You know,
I talk to a lot of people about bullying. I work with veterans as well. You know, veterans got PTSD. Well, I got the same thing. And we got a little technique we use and all through that will clear your mind from all the bad stuff, you know, and help you out. I had anxiety attacks. And I had PTSD from the bullying, you know. When I see a child on TV or hear a child being bullied, it just throws me back right off, you know. Thinking about, and I had just been there to help them. And my wife would tell me, you don't know the people, you didn't help them. And yeah, I feel like I could really do more. And I was there to talk to the parents, talk to the kids. Now I got a bullying program, and I got to get into high school and the elementary school to learn them about what's going on. They won't let me do them. The school will not let me in. Martial art. And it had nothing to do with martial art. I downgraded it. I done it for, it just teaching people what bullying is. How you affect people when you bully them the rest of their lives, you know.
You know, when I moved back to Laredo, I'm from Laredo. I had a school in Dallas for many, many years. When I moved back here in the early 2000s, we had come up with bully-proofing your child. Let's bully-proof your child workshops. And I started posting it on the newspaper, advertising, so on and so forth. And I started getting calls from detectives, teachers, principals, that why was I teaching bullies? Well, I'm not teaching bullies.
Oh my
It says
God.
bully-proof your child. Exactly. Bully-proof, I'm like bulletproof your child. You know, we took that bully-proof your child. And I go, yeah, you're bully-proofing them.
You know what
How
I'm
to
saying?
do bullies. They thought we're making the bullies better, you know, and I said, you know, no, we don't have a bullying problem. So I had a long conversation. I invited all of them, and we had a conversation with some superintendents, and they said, we don't have a problem of that here in Laredo. This is back
I've heard that.
This was back in 2001, 2002, 2006. I had a huge thing. All of a sudden, 2010 comes around. Bullying's a big thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to bullying. Everybody has to wear a blue shirt. And if
Yep.
you don't wear a blue shirt, and then all of a sudden they brought me in, and I'm sitting down with all these people, and they're saying, the thing is that martial arts won't help that. And I'm like, really? Well, it's helped probably for the last 2,500 years. It's been teaching people how to, and all around different cultures, how to defend yourself, you know.
Yeah.
You know, they said there's the bullying. What we're going to start doing here with bullying is if a child sees bullying happening, he has to go report it, and
Yep.
He gets a blue shirt that says, "I'm a bully buster."
Oh,
And I said, "You tell a child to go tell on a bully because he was bullying on somebody else, and who's going to protect that child when he's
that's
walking
right.
home from school?"
That's right.
And they said, "What do you mean?" And I go, "There's an old saying, snitches get stitches."
That's right.
I said, and what you just made a little snitch.
Yep.
Okay. And
Exactly.
what's going to happen to him outside the street, you guys can protect them. So they started having a
Exactly.
bunch of problems with that, and I left it at that. And it just gets worse, worse and worse.
You know what it is? This is what I'm figuring out, brother. I talk to people all the time, and I got bullet pages. You know, I got a lot of bullet pages. The high schools, all the schools, they don't understand what bullying is. They really don't. And you talk, I had one school that would let me do a presentation. One school in Florida. I wouldn't have done it. I was a keynote speaker. After I done the program, I got the video. I'll put it on your page. They would come up to me, the kids, and say, "You know what? We understand it's wrong." I said, "Yeah, but you make fun of somebody for wearing glasses, 4 eyes. You think it's funny, but to that person you're saying 4 eyes is, it goes in their heart and it hurts." The way I put it, this is my motto. This is what I called it when they done it to me. I had a fake smile. My mother would ask me when I was being bullied horribly at school. I got physically bullied. Girls, boys both done it. I even had a teacher when I was 7 years old. I had that, remember the little big plate? A bully pushed me into her. You know how you fall up against her? She thought it done it on purpose. She grabbed me by the throat. She had her hand pressed on my throat, but she was shaking me. She knocked it loose, and it went down my throat. And the only thing that held it from going all the way down and choking me, was that one little wire on the back of his hung, and I had to run to the bathroom right quick and get in there and get that thing out. Because she thought I was retarded, but I wasn't. But and bully pushed me, she wasn't looking. When I hit her, she thought I done it on purpose. And she lost her temper and grabbed me by the throat. These people do not understand what bullying is. I'm talking to these teachers. They don't understand it. They won't let me in there to tell my story. And they say, "You're coming here to cause trouble because you're a martial artist. You tell these people how to do these people have a riot." I'm not going to show anything. All I'm going to do is tell my story of what I went through to make these kids understand, as well as adults. Even though you're kidding somebody, there's a point you got to draw the line. You go overboard with it. That becomes bullying. I ain't had no luck in no other school at one school. And the
Absolutely.
teachers told me, we really didn't understand all that bullying was to you told your story. And all the kids wrote me a little letter. And they mailed me a card and everything. And they're now looking out for other kids and helping them do bullying now. See, I made a difference at that school.
Absolutely. 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 But thank you for standing up. And remember, thank you for standing up for the others.
Well, thank
And
you for
also,
having me to come on and explain. Most people won't let me do interviews. I told you. I'm going to tell you an interview and then they do a little background on me or read my book. This guy's got a problem. They don't want to waste their time, taking up their time, seminars. They don't want to waste their time with me because they can get a big name in there to draw in the money to the seminar where if I go on there, I might take up that time on it and understand me. And people will complain. This guy don't do nothing but you can't understand a word he says. That
you
negative
know,
attitude.
it's like I told you, martial arts has been tainted for a very long time.
Yeah,
And,
it went downhill a long time.
by those Mac dojos that are running around. And
Yep.
those Mac dojos are the ones that are ruining everything. But people don't know the difference. Before when many of us grew up, It was a father that took you
Yep.
you to the person that knew how to fight of that town
Yep.
to learn how to fight.
Yep.
Look what I'm saying. Learn how to fight, whether in martial arts or not. He took you to the guy that knew how to fight for them to teach you how to fight.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now the mom drives to the nearest nail salon and looks at the sign that says karate classes for kids, and she goes in there, and there's a 22 or 23-year-old guy in there calling himself Grandmaster or
Yep.
Ultimate Supreme Grandmaster. You know, they sound like
Yeah.
Ultimate Supremo, and
Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, really? But anyway, anybody, like I tell people, anybody can wear any title they want. If you can defend it and you can teach it and you can move forward, bless you.
Exactly.
If you
That's why
can't,
I'm not
one day somebody's going to test you. And you know, unfortunately I came from the schools of being tested. But I want to thank you, Grandmaster. I want to thank you for sharing your story, for continuing to push forward, for teaching others the essence of what bullying's all about.
Exactly.
And people do not understand that. So thank you.
And I thank you for having me, you know.
Anytime we'll do it again. We'll touch base, and maybe we'll touch base on competition for kids, or we'll do something.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I appreciate you more than anything. Just let me tell that story.
Absolutely. Until next time, peace.
I thank you, brother.
Be safe.
I will. You too.
Always.